What's up internet people, and welcome to the show where I show you the things that happened around Ireland, the world and online in the past week. Remember, should you not like what I'm talking about, there'll be an option right there in the top right hand corner of the screen to take you on a video TARDIS just a few seconds or minutes into the future so you can do the next story. Or alternatively, if you're on a mobile, links as well as sources and anything else I might have found interesting can as always be found in the faux bar. Nandoandgabe. To kick things off, I want to go back to a story I covered last week. Last week I talked about the cover art release for Assassin's Creed 3 and how I wasn't sure if anybody outside the US would really care that it's set during the American Revolution. Well, all that changed earlier this week when I found out the new assassin's name is Connor Radunhagadu. It doesn't matter, his name is Connor and that's my name and that's awesome. Oh yeah, there's a trailer too. So yeah, I was wrong. I'm happy to admit it. I stupidly forgot that regardless of its setting, this game is Assassin's Creed. And going on other games in the franchise, that gives it about a 75% chance that this game is going to be awesome. Next we go to a story about an injured train driver and some explosives. The driver sustained the injuries when the detonators in his kit bag exploded. Iar Northern Ireland, the body in Ireland in charge of the country's trains, said detonators are used in railway operations as part of a safety regime and are placed on railway lines with drivers and other staff. Essentially, the detonators are a failsafe in situations where fog or mist would obscure other signals, and are set up to work like a kind of Morse code. A bang occurring 3 times, once every 20 metres, would signal for an emergency stop. The Army Bomb Disposal Unit was brought in as a precaution, and the driver was taken to hospital to be treated for minor cuts and hearing impairment. A reason is yet to be given as to why the explosion happened. Apple this week unveiled a replacement for the iPad 2, dubbing it not the iPad 3, or as many had thought the iPad HD, but simply the new iPad. The new iPad will feature a 9.7-inch 2048 by 1536 pixel display and sports a 5 megapixel camera and 1080p video recording. Apple has said that this new tablet is, wait for it, revolutionary. Now, a lot of people have been critical of the name among other things, and I'm by no means an Apple fanboy, but I actually see this as a smart move. Most people aren't going to refer to it by an exact product name like the iPad HD. They're going to call it the new iPad, so why not make that its name? As for the device itself, everything's a little bit lackluster. There's really nothing new and it's basically the iPad 2, but everything's a little more. And the revelation of speech to text? Really, Apple? Really? Android has had that for a long time. One thing's for sure though, watching Tim Cook up there wasn't the same as watching Steve Jobs up there. And if this is what Apple's going to produce under Tim Cook, I'm going to get slightly nervous. Because while I wholeheartedly love and support Android, our products are only better because they have a company like Apple to compete with. And if that competition goes, standards are going to drop. Interesting times lie ahead. Next we go to those crazy kids over at Lulzsec. For those of you that don't know, Lulzsec is a computer hacking collective responsible for a lot of high profile attacks. Most notably for taking down Sony's PlayStation Network late last year. In August of 2011, the FBI arrested a guy by the name of Xavier Monsegur, or Sabu as he was known online. Monsegur admitted and pleaded guilty to a number of counts of computer hacking and when faced with a 124-year prison sentence and the idea of never seeing his kids again, he decided to cooperate with the FBI, which subsequently led to a number of arrests in the US, Britain and Ireland. The two Irishmen involved are Darren Martin, 25 from Galway, and Donncha Caravel, 19 from Offaly. Both men have been charged in their absence at a New York federal court. As for what this means for Anonymous and other hacktivist groups, well, it's not exactly clear. Anonymous isn't so much a large group of hackers as it is a handle for small groups and individuals, and the higher ups allow this because it gets attention for the organisation. One thing I will say is the Guy Fawkes masks Anonymous use annoy me to no end, because 1, it ruins V for Vendetta for me just a little bit more every time I see one, and 2, Time Warner gets money for every single one of those masks. So why in the name of God would you advertise their use? Moving on to our final and biggest story of the week. This week saw the beginning of the roller coaster that is Kony 2012. The campaign's aim is to spread awareness of the world's worst war criminal and leader of the Lord's Resistance Army, Joseph Kony. Joseph Kony is responsible for the abduction of over 30,000 children who were then used as child soldiers or wives for his officers. The LRA is encouraged to rape and mutilate civilians, and the general idea of the campaign is to make Joseph Kony known to the wider world. But that was on day 1. The internet, being the cynical hive mind that it is, took it upon itself to question the legitimacy of the campaign and whether or not it was just a way to make money, and by day 2, various people have come out with the financials of the NGO behind the campaign, Invisible Children. These figures claim that a lot of the money Invisible Children receive is spent on marketing and salaries, and that very little of the money actually goes to helping the children involved. And as it turns out, it's not as black and white as the Kony 2012 videos have you believe. With many claims that the Ugandan government is all sorts of crazy as well, and not great people themselves. But that's a completely different story. What it comes down to is that it doesn't matter what the intentions of one movement are. If they're genuine, great. If they're trying to get more money, don't feed the trolls and ignore the bastards. What matters is that the issue exists, and that no amount of meme making or protesting or littering streets with posters is going to help. If anything, it's going to make it harder to do something. But that's a totally different show. Most governments are already aware of the situation. America, as far as I know, has had some troops on the ground for at least 6 months. But as I said before, there's way more than any or most of us realise, and there's definitely more than IC would have you believe. We can't do this on the timescale of the internet, and I'd go as far to say that doing it in 2012 is being ambitious. The last thing I want to see is bigger countries throwing guns at the situation, because it would turn into the Soviet-Afghan war all over again. So you can probably tell from the way I'm starting to ramble that I'm not sure what we should do. I'm not even sure we should do anything, and whether we should leave it to the people who can do something. I'm sort of left wondering, in 3 months' time, when the memes have stopped, and the protests walked, and the posters litter our streets in the names of the wrong people, will anyone remember who Joseph Kony is? But guys, that's all I have to say for now. Remember that these are just my opinions, and to leave your opinion on this or any other story in the comments below. In the faux bar, you might find some videos that I liked and or they made me lol. For more of my random thoughts and things from day to day, you can always follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/con/. Remember to click the like button, share this video with your friends on Facebook and Twitter, and by all means subscribe if you haven't already. But for now, my name is Conor Broderick, and that's what I thought you'd like to know. Nandoandgabe.